In August 2026, visitors walking into Gamescom found something playing at the Nintendo booth that shouldn't have been there. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 was running on Nintendo's latest hardware. The last time this shooter franchise appeared on a Nintendo platform was 2013. For over a decade, crossing those corporate lines was completely off-limits. For the last 10 years, consumer technology was defined by rigid borders. Companies built isolated ecosystems, forcing you to buy specific hardware to access specific software. But those walls are finally cracking open. Think about the restrictions you've lived with. You had to buy a PlayStation to play certain games. You interacted with artificial intelligence strictly through a narrow chat box. And Apple asked you to isolate yourself inside heavy, expensive goggles to experience spatial computing. Those days are ending. The biggest companies on Earth have looked at their balance sheets and realized that walling off their users restricts growth. Survival now depends on integration. Microsoft's recent acquisition of Activision Blizzard came with a legally binding 10-year contract. That agreement forces them to release all new Call of Duty games on Nintendo platforms on the exact same day they hit Xbox and PlayStation. Take a look at this diagram comparing how games are processed. On the right is cloud streaming, which relies on a constant, high-speed internet connection to a remote server. On the left is a native port, where the game runs directly on the local hardware's processor. Microsoft spent the resources to make Call of Duty run natively on Nintendo. This willingness to reach across the aisle extends to Microsoft's own hardware strategy. Right now, competing handheld gaming PCs like the Steam Deck are raising their prices. The Asus ROG Ally, which runs on Windows and integrates directly with Xbox services, is actually getting cheaper. Microsoft dropped the base model price to $599 because they are subsidizing the device. They are absorbing part of the manufacturing cost in exchange for players subscribing to Game Pass. The strategy is clear. Microsoft no longer cares if you buy an Xbox console. They now want their software running on every single screen you own, regardless of who manufactured the plastic casing. Over in Cupertino, Apple is making a similar pivot toward openness. They have paused all development on future vision virtual reality headsets and shifted their massive engineering resources toward lightweight, everyday augmented reality smart glasses. Apple set an initial sales target of 2 million units, but the Vision Pro sold just 500,000. That discrepancy forced a pivot away from expensive, task-specific goggles toward hardware designed for daily, continuous wear. That same push for daily accessibility is happening in software. OpenAI recently introduced a feature called Canvas, abandoning the traditional chat window you've been using since 2022. Here's how Canvas structures your screen. Instead of sending a prompt and getting a single, massive block of text back, you get a collaborative workspace. The AI sits on the left, and your working document sits on the right. You can highlight a specific line of code and have the AI rewrite just that section in real time. Users responded so well to working side by side with their AI that Google immediately implemented a similar collaborative editor into their own AI studio. The shift from isolated input boxes to shared workspaces is becoming an industry standard. Software companies are succeeding by moving past the single prompt window to build environments where the AI and the human interact on the same document at once. Even the most rebellious sector of the tech world is surrendering its independence. Cryptocurrency was built to bypass traditional banks, but today, digital assets are integrating directly into the heavily regulated trading floors of Wall Street. This integration accelerated with the end of a legal war between the crypto company Ripple and the Securities and Exchange Commission. After fighting for 5 long years over whether the XRP token was an illegal security, both sides finally agreed to a settlement. This chart shows the compromise. The SEC originally demanded $1.3 billion from Ripple, but that number was slashed to a $50 million fine. Crucially, the judge ruled XRP on public exchanges is not a security, giving the industry clear legal guidelines. With the legal gray area removed, legacy finance moved in. Billions of dollars immediately flowed into new exchange trade funds, holding Ethereum and XRP, with institutional giants like BlackRock grabbing the lion's share of the market. Cryptocurrency founders spent years trying to replace the existing financial system. By accepting government regulation and launching standard Wall Street funds, they allowed their technology to be absorbed by it instead. So, we have Microsoft pushing its flagship shooter onto Nintendo consoles, Apple backing away from closed virtual reality, and Wall Street banks buying up billions in decentralized cryptocurrency. Tech executives have identified a ceiling on the profitability of walled-off ecosystems. To find the next wave of growth, they have decided to look outside their own borders. We are entering an era of forced cross-platform integration. The software you use, the devices you wear, and the digital assets you hold are now expected to communicate with each other across competing brand lines. As a consumer, you no longer have to choose one ecosystem and live with its limitations. You can expect your tools to work together in ways that corporate lawyers and hardware engineers actively blocked just a few years ago. The companies that define the next decade won't be the ones that trap you behind the highest walls. They will be the ones that build the easiest bridges.